The stars twinkled quietly in the dark void of space as humanity's first encounter with alien life unfolded. It wasn't the meeting anyone had expected. No flashy ships landing on the White House lawn. No dramatic messages broadcast across all channels. Instead, it started with a simple ping on Earth's deep space monitoring stations. Laura Mills stood at the window of her office at the United Nations Space Command, watching the autumn leaves fall. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago, forgotten in the chaos of the morning's events. The signal they detected was clear and purposeful, a message from what called itself the Galactic Council. "Ms. Mills, they're requesting a response," her assistant said, poking his head through the door. "The President is on line 1. Laura picked up the phone, her hand steady despite the weight of the moment. "Yes, Mr. President. I understand the gravity of the situation." Within hours, she found herself aboard humanity's fastest shuttle, heading toward a set of coordinates just beyond Mars' orbit. The small crew remained silent during the journey, each lost in their own thoughts about what awaited them. The Council's space station appeared suddenly, as if materializing from nothing. It was massive, a gleaming structure of silver and blue that dwarfed their shuttle. The design was organic, with sweeping curves that seemed to defy engineering logic. "Human vessel," a voice came through their communication system, speaking perfect English. "You are cleared for docking in Bay 7. The docking procedure was automated, their shuttle guided by invisible hands into a pristine landing bay. Laura straightened her navy blue suit and took a deep breath. As Earth's chosen representative, she couldn't show any sign of nervousness. The airlock cycled, and Laura got her first look at an alien. The Zoraxian diplomat, Kreeth, stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent scales and 4 arms. His eyes were a deep purple, and when he spoke, his voice had a musical quality to it. "Welcome, Representative Mills," Kreeth said, bowing slightly. "The Council has been watching Earth for some time." Laura followed Kreeth through corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. "We had no idea we weren't alone in the galaxy," she said carefully. "That was by design," another voice said. They had entered what appeared to be a conference room, where 12 different alien species sat around a curved table. The speaker was a being that seemed to be made of living crystal. "I am High Counselor Varix. Please, be seated." Laura took her place at the table, noting how each species was "This isn't a negotiation," she realized aloud. "No," Kreeth confirmed. "It is not. These are the conditions for Earth joining the galactic community." Back on her shuttle, Laura sent an encrypted message to Earth. The Council's demands were impossible. Humanity had worked too hard for their achievements. As they approached Earth, she noticed several large Council ships taking up positions around the planet. "They're not here to welcome us," the shuttle pilot muttered. Laura watched the alien vessels, their designs both beautiful and threatening. "No," she said quietly. "They're here to enforce their rules." On Earth, the response to the Council's demands was immediate. Emergency meetings were called in every major government. The United Nations Space Command went into high alert, and research facilities worldwide began backing up their data to secure locations. Laura's report to the UN Security Council was met with stunned silence. "They've been watching us," she concluded. "Every breakthrough we celebrated, they saw as a violation. Every step forward we took was counted as a mark against us." "Can we fight them?" someone asked. "Their technology is centuries ahead of ours in most areas," Laura replied. "But our quantum research, the very thing they're afraid of, might be our ace in the hole." They seemed genuinely concerned about it. The Council ships maintained their positions, a constant reminder of humanity's new reality. Officially, Earth's governments agreed to consider the Council's terms. Unofficially, plans were already being made. In a secured facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, scientists worked frantically to understand why the Council feared them. Navy Commander Peter Wright stood at his post in the Lunar Defense Station, watching the holographic display with growing concern. The Council ships had been moving in strange patterns for the past week, each movement bringing them closer to Earth's key defense installations. "Sir, another council vessel just changed course," reported his sensor officer. "They're claiming it's a routine patrol adjustment." Peter rubbed his chin thoughtfully. After 20 years in space operations, he knew there was nothing routine about these movements. The aliens were positioning themselves with clear strategic purpose. At the same time, in the Quantum Research Facility in Geneva, scientists Amy Richardson and John Carter made an alarming discovery. Amy's monitoring equipment had picked up unusual energy signatures from the Council ships, signatures that matched known scanning frequencies. "Look at this pattern," Amy said, pointing to her screen. "They're not just watching us. They're doing deep scans of our defense systems." John leaned in, his face reflecting the blue glow of the monitor. "And look at the timing. Every scan coincides with their so-called patrol adjustments." The scientists immediately sent their findings to Earth's Joint Defense Command. Within hours, government leaders worldwide were meeting in secret sessions. The Council's peaceful facade was cracking, revealing the threat that lurked beneath. In Washington, the president met with his military advisors in a secured underground room. The evidence was clear. The Council was preparing for something, and Earth needed to be ready. "We can't let them know we've detected their scans," Peter advised over the secure video link. "But we need to start moving our most sensitive projects off-grid." The next few days saw a flurry of hidden activity across the globe. Research facilities began transferring their most crucial data to quantum-encrypted servers. Military units conducted silent drills, preparing for scenarios they hoped would never come. Amy and John worked around the clock, trying to understand the Council's scanning technology. One evening, as they analyzed their latest data, they found something unexpected. "The scans aren't just looking at our weapons," Amy said, excitement in her voice. "They're specifically focused on our quantum technology. And look at this, their scanners actually have trouble penetrating our quantum fields." John's eyes widened. "You mean our technology might be more advanced than theirs in this area?" "It's possible," Amy replied. "Remember how worried they were about our quantum research?" Up on the lunar station, Peter noticed another change in the Council ships' behavior. They were now maintaining constant positions above Earth's major cities, their weapons systems powered but inactive. A clear show of force. "They're trying to intimidate us," Peter told his crew. "But they're also showing us something important. They're worried enough about Earth to commit this many ships to watching us." The Council's diplomatic messages remained polite, but their tone grew increasingly firm. They demanded progress reports on the dismantling of Earth's quantum research facilities. Each time, Earth's representatives provided carefully worded responses that promised cooperation while actually saying nothing. One morning, Peter noticed something odd. A small Council vessel had broken formation, moving to a position that gave it a direct line of sight to Earth's primary quantum research facilities. "Track that ship," he ordered. "But don't make it obvious we're watching." Over the next few hours, more Council ships made similar subtle movements. They were positioning themselves for something, but what? Amy and John's research had progressed to testing the limits of the Council's scanning technology. They discovered that certain quantum field configurations could completely block the alien scans. "We need to get this information to the Defense Command immediately," Amy said, gathering their data. "This could be crucial if things go bad." As they prepared their report, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. The Council ships had powered up their weapons systems, all pretense of peaceful observation abandoned. "All personnel to emergency stations," the announcement echoed through every military base and research facility. "This is not a drill." Peter watched from the lunar station as the Council ships moved into attack positions. Their messages now dropped all diplomatic pretense. "Earth forces," the Council transmission boomed. "Your continued development of prohibited technologies cannot be tolerated. You will immediately surrender control of all quantum research facilities, or we will take action to secure them ourselves." The response from Earth's governments was unanimous. They would not surrender. Humanity had worked too hard and come too far to give up their achievements now. Amy and John rushed to implement their quantum shielding discovery, working with military engineers to protect key installations. Peter coordinated with defense forces worldwide, preparing for what seemed like an inevitable confrontation. The Council ships loomed over Earth's cities, their weapons hot but not yet firing. It was a standoff, with both sides waiting to see who would make the first move. In Geneva, Amy looked up from her work and saw the alien ship through the facility's window. Its sleek form blocked out the stars, a constant reminder of the threat they faced. "They're afraid of us," she realized aloud. "They're not doing this because they think we're primitive. They're doing it because they know we're close to something big." John nodded, understanding dawning in his eyes. "And that means we have a chance." On the lunar station, Peter received new orders from Earth Command. They would not fire first, but they would be ready when the Council made their move. The warning signs had been clear, and humanity had heeded them. Now, as Earth's forces prepared for whatever came next, one thing was certain: the Council was about to learn that humans didn't respond well to threats. The next move would determine whether this became a peaceful resolution or the start of something much bigger. Either way, humanity would face it united, ready to defend their right to progress and their place among the stars. The Council's ultimatum arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Their message was simple and direct. Earth had 24 hours to surrender all quantum technology, or they would take it by force. Admiral Susan Baker stood in the Pentagon's command center, her face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays showing Council ship positions. She had spent the last week secretly moving Earth's most advanced research to hidden facilities, but now time had run out. "Begin Operation Shadow," she ordered. "Get our people underground." Across the globe, teams of scientists and military personnel disappeared into bunkers and secret bases. In orbit, Council ships began moving closer to Earth's space stations, their intentions clear. Lieutenant Kevin Phillips sat at his intelligence station aboard the lunar base, monitoring Council communications. His years of signals analysis had finally paid off. He had cracked a portion of their secure channels. "Admiral," he called over the secure line, "you need to see this. I found records of their previous encounters with other species." The data painted a disturbing picture. The Council had a pattern of finding developing civilizations, declaring their technology illegal, and forcing them into submission. Those who resisted simply disappeared from galactic records. "Send this to all command centers," Susan ordered. "Everyone needs to understand what we're really dealing with." At the Quantum Research Facility in the Alps, scientist teams worked frantically to save their data. The Council ships had begun attaching docking tubes to Earth's orbital stations, ignoring all protests. "They're coming aboard the International Space Station," reported a voice over the emergency channel. They're just walking right through our security." Susan watched the feeds with growing anger. The Council forces moved with practiced efficiency, clearly having done this many times before. But Earth wasn't going to be another easy conquest. "All stations," she broadcast, "execute Protocol Omega." Across Earth's orbital facilities, hidden quantum devices activated. The Council's boarding parties suddenly found their advanced technology failing, their weapons losing power. "What is this?" demanded the Council commander, his voice crackling over the general channel. "Your quantum interference violates all regulations." "We never agreed to your regulations," Susan replied calmly. "And we never will." The Council ships responded with overwhelming force. Energy beams lashed out at Earth's orbital defenses, but they encountered something unexpected: quantum shields that their weapons couldn't penetrate. Kevin, still monitoring Council communications, picked up signs of panic in their transmissions. "They didn't expect us to be this advanced," he reported. "They're calling for reinforcements." In the Alps facility, researchers activated their experimental quantum defense grid. The Council ships trying to breach the mountains suddenly found themselves unable to maintain their positions, their gravity systems disrupted by fields they couldn't understand. "This is your final warning. The Council broadcast, "Submit to our authority or face extinction." Susan's response was to activate humanity's hidden fleet, ships equipped with the very technology the Council feared. They emerged from concealed bases on the Moon and Mars, their quantum drives allowing them to appear instantly near the Council vessels. "We found something interesting in your records," Susan transmitted to the Council fleet. "Every species you've subjugated had something in common. They were all developing technology you couldn't control." The Council ships began to retreat, but Earth's quantum-equipped vessels matched their every move. The tables had turned, and the Council found itself facing an enemy it had underestimated. Kevin's intelligence team continued decoding Council records, revealing more of their true nature. "They've been suppressing technological advancement across the galaxy," he reported, "keeping other species dependent on their approved technology." The Council's mighty fleet now faced a choice: escalate to full war or withdraw. Their moves had become hesitant, unsure. For the first time in their long history of conquest, they faced a species that could fight back effectively. "You don't understand what you're doing," the Council commander warned. "The regulations exist for a reason. Your quantum technology could destabilize the galaxy." "No," Susan replied. "We understand perfectly. You're afraid of losing control, but humanity won't live under your rules." Earth's quantum ships demonstrated their superiority by easily evading every Council attempt to target them. The technology the Council had feared proved to be even more powerful than they had imagined. Kevin discovered the final piece of the puzzle in the Council's records. "Admiral," he called urgently, "I found their weakness. Their entire power structure depends on maintaining technological superiority. Without that, they're nothing." Susan finished. "Send the signal to all Earth forces. It's time to show the Council exactly what humanity can do." The breaking point had arrived, but not in the way the Council had expected. Instead of a quick subjugation of another primitive species, they found themselves facing a civilization that had quietly surpassed them in the very technology they feared most. Earth's forces moved into position around the Council fleet. The message was clear: the time of following their rules was over. Humanity had chosen a different path, and the galaxy would never be the same. As the Council ships began their full retreat, Susan looked at the tactical display showing Earth's forces in perfect formation. They had won this battle without firing a shot, using the very technology the Council had tried to suppress. The breaking point had come and gone, and humanity had emerged stronger. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The Council would return, and next time they wouldn't underestimate Earth. Kevin's final decoded message from the retreating Council fleet said it all. "Alert all Council worlds. The humans have broken containment. The balance of power has shifted. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity would lead that change, free from the Council's restrictive rules. The real war was just beginning." Captain Mary Duncan stood on the bridge of the stealth ship Nightshade, watching as her crew prepared for their most daring mission yet. Operation Starlight was about to begin, and everything hung in the balance. "All systems are green," reported her navigation officer. "Quantum drive is ready." The Nightshade represented humanity's best technology, a ship designed to slip through the Council's blockade like a ghost. Its black hull absorbed all scanning attempts, and its quantum systems were beyond anything the Council had seen before. "Begin launch sequence," Mary ordered. "Let's show them what we can do." Deep in the ship's engineering section, Daniel Cooper made final adjustments to his latest invention. The young engineer had discovered a way to disrupt the Council's supposedly impenetrable shields, turning their own energy against them. "Captain," Daniel called over the comm, "the shield breaker is ready. But we'll only get one shot at this." The Nightshade lifted off from its hidden base inside an asteroid, its systems running in stealth mode. Above them, the Council's blockade ships patrolled in standard patterns, unaware of what was about to happen. Mary watched her tactical display as they approached the first patrol line. "Now we'll see if all our practice pays off," she said quietly. The ship slipped between two Council cruisers, its quantum field bending light around its hull. Inside, the crew held their breath, waiting for any sign they'd been detected. "First line cleared," reported the sensor officer. No reaction from enemy ships. Earth's other ships waited in hidden bases across the solar system, ready to launch once the Nightshade proved the blockade could be broken. Everything depended on this first mission's success. Daniel monitored his systems carefully as they approached a major Council command ship. "Shield breaker is charged," he reported. "Ready on your command." Mary waited until they were perfectly positioned. "All stations, battle stations, prepare to decloak on my mark." The Council ship loomed ahead of them, its crew completely unaware of the threat hiding in their blind spot. Mary took a deep breath and gave the order. Now. The Nightshade appeared suddenly, its quantum weapons already firing. Daniel's shield breaker worked perfectly. The Council ship's defenses collapsed instantly. "All ships, this is Nightshade." Mary broadcast on the emergency channel. "Operation Starlight is go." Repeat, Starlight is go. Across the solar system, hidden bases activated. Earth's quantum ships emerged from their hiding places, each equipped with Daniel's shield breaker technology. The Council fleet responded in confusion, their formations breaking as they tried to deal with attacks coming from all directions. Their superior numbers meant nothing against ships they couldn't properly defend against. "Their shields are useless," Daniel reported excitedly. "They're trying to adapt, but they can't match our quantum frequencies." Mary guided the Nightshade through the chaos, targeting key enemy vessels. The Council's perfectly ordered blockade had transformed into a disorganized retreat. "This is Council Command." A panicked voice broadcast. "All ships, fall back to secondary positions. These humans have weapons we've never seen." But falling back wasn't an option. Earth's ships had positioned themselves carefully, cutting off all escape routes. The hunters had become the hunted. Daniel's voice came over the comm again. "Captain, I'm picking up some strange readings. Several Council ships are trying to communicate with us on a hidden frequency." Mary authorized the connection and was surprised by what she heard. It wasn't threats or demands for surrender. It was a request for help. "Human vessels," the transmission began. "We are the Resistance. Many of us have waited centuries for someone to challenge the Council's rule. We stand ready to join your cause." Across the battlefield, Council ships began turning on each other. The Resistance had hidden within the Council's own fleet, waiting for their chance to break free. "All Earth forces," Mary broadcast, "protect any vessel that identifies as Resistance. Today we're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for every species the Council has oppressed." The battle transformed into something larger than anyone had expected. What had started as Earth's defensive action became a revolution that would reshape the galaxy. Daniel's sensors showed more ships joining the Resistance with each passing minute. The Council's perfect order was crumbling in the face of humanity's unexpected strength and the long-suppressed desire for freedom among their own forces. "The Council's main fleet is retreating," reported the tactical officer. "They're abandoning their blocking positions." Mary watched as the mighty Council forces fled, leaving behind those who had chosen to stand with Earth. The first major battle was over, and humanity had won decisively. "Send word to Earth Command," she ordered. "The blockade is broken, and we've got some new allies to introduce them to." The Nightshade's crew cheered as the last Council ships disappeared into deep space. They had proven that humanity's quantum technology wasn't just a match for the Council's power, it was superior. Daniel looked at his readings with satisfaction. Their whole system of control was based on keeping everyone else's technology limited, he said. They never imagined someone would develop something they couldn't control. As Earth's ships gathered around the Nightshade, Mary prepared to welcome their new allies aboard. The galaxy was changing, and humanity's response to the Council's aggression had started something much bigger than a simple war. The quantum revolution had begun, and there would be no going back to the Council's restricted vision of the universe. Humanity had shown the way forward, and others were eager to follow. "All ships," Mary broadcast, "set course for Earth. We have a lot of planning to do for what comes next." The fleet moved out, human ships flying alongside their new alien allies. The Council's perfect order had been broken, and in its place, something new and better would rise. The response to tyranny had become a revolution, and humanity was leading the way to a freer galaxy. Commander Lisa Martinez watched from her command station as representatives from 20 different alien species gathered in the new Galactic Assembly Hall on Mars. 1 year had passed since the Council's defeat, and the galaxy was a very different place. "The session will begin in 5 minutes," her aide reminded her. "The resistance leaders are ready to speak." The Great Hall buzzed with activity. Species that had been oppressed for centuries now sat together, discussing their future. Among them were the crystalline Vex, the energy-based Corans, and even some former Council races who had chosen freedom over control. "Let's hope this works better than the old Council," Lisa said, straightening her uniform. The first speaker was Kutl, a former Council ship commander who had led the resistance forces. His tall, scaled form moved gracefully to the central platform. "For too long," he began, "our galaxy lived under rules designed not to protect, but to control. The humans showed us another way." Around the room, translation devices hummed softly, converting his words into dozens of languages. Every being present understood the importance of this moment. "We're not here to create new restrictions," Lisa added, taking her turn at the platform. "We're here to ensure everyone has the right to grow, to develop, to reach their full potential." The new charter they were creating was different from the Council's rigid laws. It focused on cooperation and mutual support rather than control and limitation. In orbit above Mars, Earth's quantum ships patrolled alongside vessels from other species. The technology that the Council had feared was now being shared, carefully and responsibly, with trusted allies. "The quantum barriers are holding steady," reported the defense station. No sign of Council activity in the sector. The remnants of the Council had retreated to a small cluster of systems, their influence broken. But everyone knew they weren't finished, just waiting, watching, planning their next move. Back in the assembly hall, Lisa listened as species after species shared their stories. The Vex spoke of centuries of forced technological stagnation. The Corans described how the Council had tried to restrict their natural evolution. "We propose a new approach," Lisa announced when her turn came again. "A galactic defense alliance where each species contributes their unique strengths. No more artificial limitations, no more suppression of growth." The vote was unanimous. The old Council's rules were officially abolished, replaced by guidelines for cooperation and mutual defense. In a secure lab beneath the assembly hall, scientists from a dozen worlds worked together, combining their knowledge. Quantum technology merged with Vex crystal engineering and Coran energy manipulation, creating innovations that would have been impossible under the Council's restrictions. "Look at this," one of the alien scientists called excitedly. "By combining our approaches, we've increased efficiency by 300%. Lisa smiled as she watched the cooperation unfold. This was what the Council had feared most, not just human quantum technology, but the explosive growth that came from different species working together freely. Reports came in daily of new discoveries, new alliances, new possibilities. Species that had been isolated from each other under Council rule were finding they had much to offer each other. "Commander," her aide called, "we're receiving a transmission from the edge of known space. Another species wants to join the alliance." The news wasn't surprising anymore. As word spread of the Council's defeat, more civilizations emerged from hiding, eager to join a galaxy where development wasn't restricted. But there were challenges too. The Council still had supporters, and not everyone welcomed such rapid change. Lisa spent much of her time mediating disputes and preventing conflicts from escalating. "We have to be better than they were," she often reminded the assembly. "We're not here to control, we're here to protect and support." In Earth's quantum research facilities, breakthroughs continued. But now they were shared with allies, each discovery building on the combined knowledge of multiple species. The galaxy was transforming faster than anyone had expected. Trade routes opened between formerly isolated worlds. Cultural exchanges flourished. New technologies emerged from unlikely combinations of different species' knowledge. This is what they feared, Lisa told her staff during a quiet moment. Not just our technology, but the power of real cooperation. They knew if species started working together freely, their control would end. The assembly session concluded with the signing of the new charter. It wasn't perfect. Nothing involving so many different species could be. But it was a start. As Lisa watched the representatives file out, many deep in conversation with former enemies, she felt proud of what humanity had helped achieve. They hadn't just broken the Council's rules. They'd shown the galaxy a better way. Next session is in 2 days, her aide reminded her. The Vex want to present their proposals for deep space exploration. Lisa nodded, already thinking ahead. The Council had kept the galaxy static, controlled, limited. Now it was growing, changing, evolving. There would be problems to solve and challenges to face, but they would face them together. Above Mars, ships from dozens of worlds moved in coordinated patterns, their crews learning to work together. The quantum drives that had once been forbidden now powered vessels from many species, all part of the new Alliance fleet. The galaxy was changing, and this was just the beginning. Humanity had done more than break the Council's rules. They had shown that rules meant to limit and control could be replaced by guidelines for cooperation and growth. As night fell on Mars, Lisa looked up at the stars. They didn't seem cold or distant anymore, but full of possibility. The galaxy was alive with potential, and every day brought new discoveries, new allies, and new hope for the future. The Council's age of restriction was over. The age of cooperation had begun.